success with her new fitness initiative, Monique's Movement. After struggling with basic tasks, she's now focused on health, strength, and consistency, offering free workout videos and inspiration for lasting change. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a good day Sunday for both of LA's NFL teams. The Chargers and Rams got a road win. Both teams are 4-2. The Chargers came from behind in the final minute to beat Miami 29-27. Cameron Dicker kicked a 33-yard field goal with 5 seconds left to win it. The Rams took advantage of a sluggish Baltimore offense without Lamar Jackson and coasted to a 17-3 win. The Rams defense shut out Baltimore after the first quarter. The Dodgers are in Milwaukee tonight for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. First pitch at 5 o'clock. USC is back in the top 25 college football rankings after their 31-13 win over Michigan on Saturday. The 5-1 Trojans are ranked 20th. Top 5 teams in this week's poll: Ohio State, Miami, Tavis, Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers, Texas A&M, and Mississippi. Indiana is number 3 in the country after their win at number 7 Oregon on Saturday. It's the highest ranking in the history of Indiana football. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis, Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Farm is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate, with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless, for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Farm. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there. Here we go again.
Well, I'm out to have a real good time, and now you want to try to fake me, but friends of yours are friends of mine, so don't keep trying to play me. If you don't have nothing good to say, the words you will be withholding. These kind of games a girl will play, just like Mother told me so. Here we go, going through the same thing. Now this ain't the time to make a scene, because I'm out with my homies. I know you know just what I mean, so don't just walk up on me. There's a time and there's a place where we can talk about it, cause I don't wanna be disgraced with all your screams and shouting.
Here we go with Robert Wisdom. The final hour of our program today. 2 guests in this hour. On the backside of this hour, we'll talk to Megan Piphus, the 4-time Emmy Award-winning puppeteer and ventriloquist. She is the first puppeteer in the history of Sesame Street. So we'll talk to her on the back side of this hour. But I'm delighted to have in studio right now Robert Wisdom, best known as Howard Bunny Colvin in the hit TV series The Wire on HBO. His latest is called The Terminal List, Dark Wolf, streaming now on Amazon Prime Video. We'll get to that in a second here. But it's good to see you, man, in studio. How are you?
I'm good, brother. I'm good.
You're looking well, man.
It's a pleasure to be here with you, bro.
Your handsome visage. Look at you.
Look
at you. You been good though?
Good, thanks.
Yeah. Let me just go back before I go forward. Let me go back right quick. The Wire.
Yes, sir.
So many of my friends, Wendell Pierce, just talked to Wendell the other day. So many friends of mine on that series over the years. Iconic. They're still running that thing and will for time eternal. Your reflections on just being a part of a show that became, again, that iconic.
Oh, I'm telling you, that was one of the great experiences.
Yeah.
Because not only was it a circle of some of the finest talent that I had seen on TV up to then, but we were like family.
Yeah.
So we would have nights when one of our other castmates were doing some big scene, 2 o'clock in the morning, people would just set their alarm, get in the car, get a cup of coffee and stand and watch them rock the house.
Wow.
At 2 in the morning.
Wow.
You know, so it was that kind of, we were like that.
Yeah.
Then to see everybody blow up over the years. Wendell is doing just incredible work. Idris is knocked out every Sonia song. Everybody's doing their thing. And so I'm proud to be a part of it. And I look back and it was one of my favorite characters.
Since we both mentioned Wendell, you're being heard right now in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And Wendell owns the station in New Orleans.
Come on now.
No, he does.
Hi, Wendell.
Yeah. Wendell owns the station in New Orleans on which you're being heard right now. So he's a great guy, and yes, I am honored. Thank you, Mr. Pierce, for carrying our program in New Orleans.
Right on.
But no, Wendell's a great guy. But I to your point, so many great actors have come out of that show.
Yeah.
And the work is pretty prodigious. But it's just, it was so gritty, and even Baltimoreans will tell you. Like or loathe the truths that were told. It's about as accurate a picture of that life in Baltimore as you can ever get.
And we could tell you the thing about the conception is that it's all American cities.
Yeah, sure.
Camden, New Jersey. It's Ohio. It's like the state of how we are living in the social constraints. So they told a visionary story.
Yeah.
And all of us have grown up in the hood. That's what we were bringing to it.
Yeah.
When you see Bunk, Bunk lived in the hood and became a cop. You see Omar, God bless and rest his soul. It's like you see a man who understood something about the rhythms of who we are. So it was great. It was a great thing to be part of.
Yeah. So that's The Wire. Now he stars in the Amazon Prime drama The Terminal List, Dark Wolf. Take a listen.
Marine barracks bombing, October 1983. One of the largest non-nuclear explosions in history took out the barracks and the HQ. The Corps hadn't lost that many men in a single day since Iwo Jima. And yet, we still did nothing. We talked a tough game, and then we quietly pulled out. We showed Iran and the rest of the world that we were nothing but a paper tiger. And we showed our enemies that terrorism works. But you take Mossad and Israel, they understand the power of consequence. What do you think Israel does once Iran gets a nuclear bomb?
You didn't want to stop a war. You wanted to start one. You wanted to start a nuclear war to slap down a regime. For what? Payback. How many innocent people does that kill?
How many innocent lives does it save, Ben?
You sure can sell it. I'll give you that.
Let me just say, for starters, I am so grateful that Robert Wisdom doesn't want a job in radio, because I would be in trouble. I'd be out of this chair right now with those pipes. Man, that clip, that audio sounds so good. It's called The Terminal List, Dark Wolf, streaming right now on Amazon Prime Video. We'll talk more about it when we come forward with Robert Wisdom on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Robert Wisdom. It's called The Terminal List Dark Wolf. As I said, streaming now on Amazon Prime Video. So we heard the the audio, but talk about the show. Tell me what it is.
Well, it's a show about it's an action series. That we see through the lens of the Navy SEALs. And but then we go into the world of Black Ops.
Yeah.
Then that's where my character is anchored. All the things that we're not even aware of that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Those people who are making these connections, stopping different things from happening. And this gray area where what is good, what is bad, who's the bad guy, and it was fascinating doing the dive into this character. I got to spend a lot of people who live and work in that world.
Right.
And they opened my eyes. And we were shooting in Budapest.
Yeah.
And one of my advisors took me out one night, and we just parked at this 5-way crosswalk where all the different the world's spies are living there. And he said, we're just going to watch some drops when people who are doing the dirty work.
Yeah.
And we watched this guy come out. He went to this waste bin, dropped something in there. About 45 minutes later, we see another guy, dark hair, mustache, thing. He was walking out there, and he's standing next to it. He looks in, and he dips his hand, and he said, that's what happens, 24 hours, is you have one country's intelligence person meeting up with somebody else through this intercept.
Yeah.
And to see things come alive like that, to see what's happening right around us, under our eyes, I got a good sense of this character who spent 20 years in the working as a Black Ops, spy master, and the things he was engineering. I got to know a lot about where the gray zone is.
Yeah,
and I love playing that gray zone guy.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd love it. Bunny was one guy.
Oh yeah,
but this was another kind of Black man who really excelled at his work as a specialist in certain Middle Eastern countries, cultures, and intelligence cultures. It was great fun.
When you say you love playing this Black character in the gray zone area, what do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is we don't realize those Black folks who speak 5-6 languages, who have excelled in their university and become specialists. They don't get hailed in public. And it's not easy. That's a tough world, because it's a world that's, that's dominated by other cultures. And, so for you to get over those hurdles, that's speaking a lot about your intelligence, your grit, your insight, and your value.
Yeah.
And so I layered all of those things into Jed Haverford, who's the character I play. And I got a whole guy that, and then I had these CIA operatives who were my advisors, and I could get things right. This Navy SEALs were our officers who trained all the guys with the weapons, and I had another set of weapons that I was working with.
Yeah. When you you told the story so beautifully. So when you're out on this this night, the night in question, when you were out watching all this stuff go down, like in real time, how did you process this? I mean, we see this stuff in the movies and in series like the one we're talking about, right? But how did you process watching that go down? In real time.
I realize there are millions of invisible lines crossing all the time that are thwarting or advancing some act against another government. That's happening all the time, whether it's a French intelligence dropping off for somebody in Libya, or it's just happening. And it made the world, I understood the complexity of where we are right now. I understood at this very moment, there's an act of terrorism that might be stopped right here or advanced. And it's not this theoretical, it's happening. So I then had to realize that the kind of minute to minute decisions that I got to make as a master of my job, the world, civilizations are dependent on that.
I historically, I should say for historic reasons, so many in our community, as you know, have no love for the CIA.
Exactly.
We got no love for the FBI.
Exactly.
We got no love for law enforcement writ large, given the ways in which we've been maltreated. I can go back to COINTELPRO and all the stuff that you and I and this audience knows. So not a lot of love lost there on the one hand. On the other hand, I am mindful of the fact, Robert, that we got to get it right. We being the people that you were talking about, the character you play, we got to get it right every time. The terrorist only has to get it right one time.
There you go.
Talk to me about that.
That's a brilliant question. Because not only are you keeping 3 balls in there, you're keeping 20 balls in there. And all they got to do is shoot the gap once.
Exactly.
And so you have to have a very, very flexible way of responding in a non-emotional way. Jed Haverford knew that when he goes rogue, and he's trying to manipulate a huge system by himself, and pose one government to the next. In this case, the Iranian government with Israel now. Boom. When I looked at this role, I said to myself, "Ooh," as you say, we didn't have no love lost. So I was like, man, do I want to do this? Because it grates against something my own belief. So I had to really work to kind of get all of my biases out the way, and see this guy and not look down on him as a bad guy, but look at him as somebody who's so much believed in his vision that he's willing to do this.
And what is his vision?
His vision is to set off the ultimate war that would then resolve this irresolvable situation. As we see, that is where we are in the world right now. And that takes an arrogance. And it's mad at its core. Because one person's actions, you can't undo that many knots in the global system.
And I'm laughing internally because the running joke is that Negroes don't do stuff like that.
Talk about
that. When you see people blowing up thousands of people, that ain't us, man. That's not who we are. So I love the fact that you challenge yourself to play this character, and I understand why you wrestled with it, because that ain't who we are.
That's it. That's it. I've had a couple of roles, but way back in the day, I had a role in a movie called Storytelling. And it's a black professor who is having an affair with his with his student, in this case, a white student in a university level. And lots of inner stuff going on. But finally, I said to myself, man, come on. NAACP go get on my butt for playing this.
Hey, but you are a thespian. Come on now.
Yeah.
You got to be allowed to go.
And those are the hurdles that I've had to challenge myself each time.
But it does beg this question for me. Given the challenge you had in getting yourself prepared to play a role like this,
right?
How then? I want to phrase this the right way. I was about to use the word infuse. How do you infuse Jed Haverford with a sense of humanity? And maybe infuse is the wrong word, but were you able to tap into his humanity? Or put another way, bad guy though he may be, the best bad guys, that's what makes them great, right? You know where I'm going here, right?
Yes, sir.
The best bad guys are the ones who we can connect to their humanity. Yes, there's a reason there's a bad guy.
Yes, sir.
They are a bad guy. There's a reason they got in this situation. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Can we? Is there some humanity to Jed Haverford that we can tap into?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You put your finger on it. That's for me, when you're playing the guy from inside, you're not just playing the outside of the guy. You're not just twisting your mustache.
Right.
But you're settled in a set of values. Right. And it's a set of values that I, the actor, understood about the world. Me being a traveler, around the world, I had a sense of how I interact with other cultures. That's what I use to anchor Jed Haverford, is that I value the culture of North Africa. I value the culture of the Middle East. I value Eastern Europe, the people and the friends I've met, the intellectuals, the people. And so, and it raised me as an artist to bring to Jed a groundedness in his in good character. Yeah. And then out of that, he made a set of decisions. Now you might look at him and judge him that he's mad, but from inside, he said, this is constructive. This can help. This is something that people don't understand geniuses before they accomplish something. So that's what he brought to it.
Well, all I know is Jed ain't the first mad Negro I know. I got some mad Negroes in my family.
Talk about it, brother. There you go.
He ain't the first mad Negro. Or the last.
Talk about it.
I am fascinated by your storytelling about your traveling around the globe. I was literally just in conversation the other day about the fact that so many Americans, the majority of Americans, as you may know, do not have passports. Yeah. And that number is even smaller when it comes to African Americans. So there's some of us who get out and see the world. Most of us do not. And I think we pay a heavy price. We pay a heavy price as a country and as a people, Black people, for not getting out and seeing the world. And I saw how your face just lit up. Since you're in the studio, I can see you this time. I love how your face just lit up telling the stories about your friends and the people you've met. Quincy Jones, I miss Quincy. Q told me all the time. Q, I call Q a citizen of the world. Yes, everywhere Quincy went, I traveled the world with Quincy. Everywhere Q went, they brought out the red carpet. And he told me, as I've said many times on this program, everywhere you go, Tavis, learn to speak a few words of their language, eat their food, and listen to their music. And that's how you become a citizen of the world. Learn a few words of their language, eat their food, listen to their music, and that's how you become a citizen of the world. And I raise this only because we're in a moment right now. I mean, today is today. We're talking about, what's happening in the Middle East, and we hope the peace holds. And, anyway, you get my point.
Yeah, I get it.
There's hot spots. Cornel West was just on talking about this. There's these hot spots all around the globe. And Cornel West comes on every Monday and Thursday, and he chooses his own walk-on music. And he chose the song "What Becomes of the Brokenhearted." And so there's so many brokenhearted people all around the globe right about now, who we ought to be sort of in solidarity with. But I fear that we aren't and can't be, because we don't get outside of our own borders to connect with other peoples. That's a long way of saying I celebrate you telling that story, and to ask you as a human being, as an actor, how's all of that aided and abetted you?
I tell you,
does that make sense as a question?
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense because education is really advanced by travel. Yeah, Q was so right. Yeah, man. You connect with the artists and eat the food and hear the music, and you get to the heart of who they are. When people come here, they love Black culture. Yeah. When they come, I don't care where they come from.
That's right.
They love our blues. They love our R&B. They love us. They love our food.
That's right.
They ain't coming to eat no casserole and tuna or whatever. They come here to eat soul food.
Yeah.
And so in my travels, it started when I graduated from college. And that was back in the 70s.
School? Where you go to school?
Columbia, New York.
Nice school.
And
they've been acting the fool lately. That's a whole nother conversation.
We had Sylvia.
Yeah, I got you. You got Sylvia's, exactly. I've been there many times.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, but I connected with, I went to Poland.
Yeah.
And I was there invited by an exchange of students who at that time were going through forming Solidarity when they had the strike, the workers' strike. And
Lake Wallisa?
Lake Wallisa.
Yeah.
And so we went all around the country, and that was my first time traveling internationally.
Yeah.
And sitting with students who were right on the edge of making history.
Wow.
And they knew more about our labor history than we knew ourselves.
Sure.
And that's when I realized, we got to catch up.
Yeah.
You're right. We do have to travel more. We do have to understand what the capital, not only of our capital of our states in the U.S., but we have to learn something about what is happening. What is London? London is not a country. London is a capital.
Yeah.
UK is, These are things that we have to broaden ourselves with. Now, there are more people traveling abroad now, but the world is moving so fast that I'm afraid sometimes we're getting left behind.
Yeah.
And I really think exchange programs. We have some brilliant young kids out there, as I see, looking at IG.
Sure.
But they need to have some kind of foothold that can take them abroad to really make them a citizen of the world.
Yeah.
It's not just Q anymore. All of us.
And I've said many times, and I believe this, that you can't really. I have to get out of the country. I try to get out at least every year.
Yeah.
And I do that. Go to a couple places because I found that in this chair, I can't even do my job critiquing this country unless you get outside of it and look back at it.
That's it.
It's kind of like being on a float in a parade. You can't see the parade if you're on the float. You gotta get off the float, man, to see that parade go by.
Exactly.
And sometimes you gotta get outside of our borders to do both, to critique the country, critique it, and to love it.
What does a 21st century Black person really look like? What do we have to be in order to not be to drift off into insignificance? And I really believe there are leaders who can show us, like yourselves. Your station is a home of culture. People need to know. Let me tune in here and travel with Tavis for a while. See what his guests are talking about.
See, now I mentioned earlier, I'm about to kick Robert out of the studio. Plus, I'm out of time anyway. But I said earlier he had those pipes, and I said, I hope you don't want a radio job because I'm in trouble. And now here he comes asking brilliant questions. that is a powerful question. We can do a whole show on the question you just posed. What does a 21st century? Yeah.
I'll leave us with that.
That's a powerful question, man.
Yeah.
We could spend hours talking about that. But I'm glad for the half hour that I've had to
Hey,
talk about.
It's an honor.
No, man, honor's all mine. To talk about The Terminal List, Dark Wolf, streaming now on Amazon Video Prime, starring one Robert Wisdom, who you probably know as Howard Bunny Colvin in the hit TV series HBO's The Wire. He's done a lot of stuff in his career, a lot of amazing stuff, but we all loved him in The Wire as part of that amazing cast. Once again, it's called The Terminal List, Dark Wolf, streaming right now on Amazon Prime Video. Robert, you're welcome back anytime, man.
Thank you, Tavis.
When you come back, let's wrestle with that question when you come back.
Yes, sir.
What we ought to look like, and be thinking about, and how we show up in 21st century,
and what food we gonna eat.
There you go. And what music we gonna listen to.
That's right.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A new poll shows Dallas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett leading the Democratic field for Texas's U.S. Senate race, even though she hasn't announced a run.
In a four-candidate race, Jasmine Crockett is ahead of both federal working James Talarico by 6 points.
That's Mike Jones, who did the poll for the University of Houston. Crockett has gained attention for fiery Capitol Hill remarks. Maryland's Black Governor Wes Moore marked National Farmers Day by praising the state's agricultural workers. He also criticized Trump-era tariffs for raising costs and pledged to protect farmland and expand access to capital for farmers. And actress and comedian Monique is embracing wellness with her new fitness initiative, Monique's Movement. After struggling with basic tasks, she's now focused on health, strength, and consistency, offering free workout videos and inspiration for lasting change. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a good day Sunday for both of LA's NFL teams. The Chargers and Rams got a road win. Both teams are 4-2. The Chargers came from behind in the final minute to beat Miami 29-27. Cameron Dicker kicked a 33-yard field goal with 5 seconds left to win it. The Rams took advantage of a sluggish Baltimore offense without Lamar Jackson and coasted to a 17-3 win. The Rams defense shut out Baltimore after the first quarter. The Dodgers are in Milwaukee tonight for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. First pitch at 5 o'clock. USC is back in the top 25 college football rankings after their 31-13 win over Michigan on Saturday. The 5-1 Trojans are ranked 20th. Top 5 teams in this week's poll: Ohio State, Miami, Tavis, Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers, Texas A&M, and Mississippi. Indiana is number 3 in the country after their win at number 7 Oregon on Saturday. It's the highest ranking in the history of Indiana football. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. Number 1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code COOL to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code COOL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code COOL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed. We close today, as promised, in conversation with Megan Piphus, the 4-time Emmy Award-winning puppeteer and ventriloquist, talking about her groundbreaking run on Sesame Street. Before I get to that, and her role as the first Black female puppeteer on Sesame Street, and for that matter, the voice of Gabrielle. Here's some sound from a character she brought to us many years ago that people still love, Reverend Peppers. Take a listen.
So my last character, he is going to bring the service word. He is a minister. I'm not really sure if he's ordained or not. Yeah, I'll just bring him out. Reverend Peppers? Yes, louder. Gentile with the southern of the Lord. What happened to your other shoe? I got caught up in the spirit, and the shoe didn't make it through the shout. Good morning, saints of the Almighty Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, $100 bills. Reverend Peppers. We're at church. Yesterday was the puppet auction. Oh, I see. Excuse me. Good morning, saints of the Almighty Lord.
Megan, good to have you on the program. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's my pleasure to have you on. How did you fall in love with puppets?
I started in the church, which makes sense why.
Yeah.
I have a friend named Reverend Peppers. My dad is a pastor. Reverend Peppers was not based on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up in the church, and there was a lady named Dorothy Smith who was over our vacation Bible school, and she would use puppets to teach the children. And she found this conference to go to learn more skills to teach kids with puppetry. And she got a group of kids together to go with her. And I was one of those kids, and we saw performances by internationally known puppeteers and ventriloquists. And I was inspired by how they were able to tell stories and sing songs with their puppets. I was very shy as a kid. And so I immediately thought I could do that and open up on stage. And from there, I got VHS tapes on how to do ventriloquism. I got a toy dummy from my local toy store and watched the VHS tapes backwards and forwards. And within a couple of weeks, I was cracking jokes to my classmates at school with my puppet.
Wow. So the puppet, given how shy you were, I don't want to overstate this. That was you were sort of hiding behind the puppets.
I was definitely hiding behind the puppet, and so I was able to bring out my creativity and imagination with characters like Reverend Peppers and my character Baby Junebug. And I would go to schools, churches, festivals, and eventually I gained the confidence in my own voice. But it was my outlet to expressing myself for sure as a kid.
Yeah. Tell me, you went there. I got to follow you. Tell me the way that you're becoming a puppet master led to the building of your own personal confidence.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still learning every day. I learn new things about puppetry every day. So, and working on Sesame Street, I work with, I feel like, true masters of the art. But now I'm able to use puppetry to teach other kids how to gain confidence. My son, for example, he struggled with speech for a while. And when I gave him a puppet, he finally felt comfortable with using his voice and talking more and forming full sentences and having conversations, because it's almost like talking to something that's inanimate takes the pressure off and allows you to imagine. And there's a level of, I think, freedom in the mind that it creates.
Wow. I'm fascinated, since I've never been and will never be a student in a puppet school. Take me to school. What does one learn in a puppet school?
First thing that you would learn, it's very similar to acting, is character.
Okay.
I think what makes a puppet believable is giving it a personality, just like an actress has or an actor has a certain personality that they're playing. I think of what that personality is. And you put that into something that you can move. So when I got Reverend Peppers, for example, I remember taking the character to church, and we all looked at him, we're like, you got to make him a reverend, but a reverend that misquotes the Bible. And so that's how that's how we started the concept. And I just built, I was like, okay, so what is a reverend that doesn't really understand what the first verse of the Bible is, and kind of give them, a voice that's surrounded around that. And puppetry imitates life. And you can imitate humans, you can imitate animals. So for a character like Reverend Peppers, I was seeing all of the pastors that I saw around the city of Cincinnati and just making it into a funny bit.
Yeah. I know something about being a first on PBS, the first Black person to ever host his own talk show on PBS. And for those years, I am grateful. But you are the first Black female puppeteer on the iconic Sesame Street. How did that happen?
I never imagined that I would make it to Sesame Street. I grew up watching it, and I even put them on my vision board, not to be on the show, but just as a dream for the level of excellence that I wanted to achieve in my craft. And so in 2017, I submitted an audition packet to the Jim Henson Company. So, Jim Henson founded Sesame Street, but it's a, separate organization. And on their website, Jim Henson's website, it said, we are not accepting auditions right now, but here's our address if you choose to send it anyway. So I sent it anyway, expecting that it would go in the trash somewhere. And in 2020, I got an email from one of the producers and puppet captains on Sesame Street. And he said, because of the pandemic, I've had extra time to go through materials, and I have access to the materials at the Jim Henson Company. And I think by the letter that you wrote, I think you would be interested in working with Sesame Street. Would you be willing to learn our style of puppetry and try? And I was least expecting to hear back from anyone in March of 2020, but I knew it was a chance to learn something new. And just try for their level of excellence. And I did, and I joined their mentorship program for about 3 months. And after 3 months, I got the opportunity to audition for the role of Gabrielle. And Gabrielle was being featured in CNN's town hall on racism that they were putting on in partnership with CNN to teach kids about what was happening in the world, which was the George Floyd protest. And so my very first opportunity with Gabrielle was to help kids understand what racism is and how you can stand up for yourself and the people around you.
Wow. And how do you look back on that moment, that your career as Gabrielle on PBS at Sesame Street essentially starts with that kind of, it's a high honor, but that's also an awesome responsibility, using a puppet to explain racism to kids.
That is what made me fall in love with puppetry, is the ability to teach a kid absolutely anything. My very first performance was in the 6th grade. I had been cracking jokes with my classmates for about 2 weeks, and my teacher said, you should show the rest of the school what you learned. And so the performer in me, I didn't just want to get up and say, oh, look what I could do. I wrote a 2-page script on God's love and how you could achieve salvation through Christ. And I actually was able to, give them scriptures, and the little kindergartners all the way to 6th graders remembered exactly what I said. And from that moment, I knew the power that I could have to teach with puppetry. And so it became my mission after that, was to always put some kind of lesson, character value, idea, advice into what I was doing. And so being able to step into Sesame Street and immediately be able to do purposeful work was a moment for sure.
Wow. Megan Piphus is our guest, 4-time Emmy Award-winning puppeteer and ventriloquist. Groundbreaking work has she done on Sesame Street with a number of characters. I'm honored to have her on this program. I got more questions for Megan when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate, with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless, for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay! We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Miss Megan, can we sing the Cinderella song?
Of course we can.
Cinderella,
If you can lose a hill and still push through whatever, then you're a Cinderella.
a new Cinderella.
If you can work that hard and still hold it together, then you're a Cinderella. I ain't gonna trip over life if it ain't what I want it to be. I'm still a queen with a pumpkin carriage waiting for me. Ooh, slide. Cinderella. Cinderella. You go all night before it's back to life. Cinderella.
See, it's people like Megan Piphus who I'm jealous and envious of. That's just too much talent in one body. That's her. The track is called A New Cinderella. And that's her on it. She's a 4-time Emmy Award-winning puppeteer, ventriloquist, and pushing out records. I love that track, Megan. I love the groove. I love the production on it. I love the kids. An amazing piece of work, A New Cinderella. Tell me about it.
Thank you so much. We made that song for our girls. So I partnered with the organization Saving Our Daughters. It's a nonprofit that started as an anti-bullying organization, for elementary school girls, but it evolved to being a mentorship organization for girls in the arts and media. So they pair the girls with celebrities in different fields, ranging from journalists, actresses. So I joined as a mentor in 2021 and started working on my album early last year and started writing songs and realized that the perfect audience for these songs that were inspiring would be for our girls. And so I asked the founder if they would be down to do the album with us. And we got 53 girls across the nation in Los Angeles, Atlanta, and New York to record on the album. For many of them, it was their first time in a recording studio, let alone singing in a choir. And so the girls were just thrilled to be in the room, and they gave it their all. And you can hear their voices in that song, A New Cinderella. But on the album, we have songs about perseverance, like A New Cinderella, songs about self-esteem, confidence, going for your wildest dreams. And every song was meant specifically for them.
This audience knows, Megan, I say it all the time, I am always tickled by the ways in which dots connect on this program. So you don't know this because you weren't around here earlier, but we had an entire conversation, an in-depth and spirited conversation. I learned a lot on this program today. We were talking about October being National Bully Awareness Month. And so we just had a long conversation about bullying. And what that means. And so here you come with this song, A New Cinderella, that is born out of an organization that is founded in part to push back on the bullying against young girls. So again, the dots always connect on this program in ways I can't even imagine. Our remaining moments with Megan when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Cinderella, L-O-A. Cinderella, L-O-A. Cinderella, L-O-A.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Megan Piphus, the 4-time Emmy Award winner, puppeteer, ventriloquist, all around nice person, great singer. I love that track, New Cinderella. I got a few minutes left, and I want to talk about something you said earlier that I didn't get a chance to get to, but I made note of it because it was new to me. I'm learning in this conversation with Megan. So when Sesame Street said to you that they want to audition you and train you to learn their style of puppetry, we watch this stuff all the time. We watched it growing up. Our kids watch it even to this day. How would you describe what Sesame Street's style of puppetry is?
Yeah, they describe it as Muppet style puppetry.
Uh-huh.
And the difference between their style of puppetry and what I've been doing, I've been performing on stage with puppets, and you could see me while I'm doing puppetry, and I have my puppet usually on a stand. You can see me that I'm talking without moving my lips, but
Right.
with the Muppets, you don't see the performer while while Elmo or Gabrielle is moving. We are below the camera image, and so we are performing specifically for TV and for the camera. And so while we are acting out scenes, we have monitors below us, in front of us, that show the camera image. And so it allows us to move and see exactly what the camera is seeing as we're moving for really precise performance. But the difficult part that I had to learn was that the monitors that we use is not a mirror image. So when I move to the left with Gabrielle on the camera monitor, it's going to show that I'm moving to the right. It's just, months of training my brain to, move, but it allows you to have a deeper connection with the viewer, because when you're looking at a monitor and you move your puppet's eye focus to the center of the lens, you're able to connect directly to the viewer on the other side of the TV. And that's what has made Sesame Street so special for years, is that they've been able to have genuine connections with us. I've grown up with the characters on Sesame Street, and I believe they were my friend, because when they were looking at the camera, they were looking directly at me.
See, I learn stuff every day. I leave the studio every day smarter than when I came in, thanks to great guests like Megan. I never understood that or thought about it. Now I know that, but I was laughing. I was laughing when you were talking, because when I started doing TV years ago, I've been blessed to do, both over the course of my career. But when I started doing television, I had to train for a few months to learn how to read the teleprompter without moving my head as the teleprompter moved. Your head's going from side to side, side to side. So I know something. You're having to learn how TV works. Yeah, I remember that well. Megan, I got 60 seconds left. As a kid, when you were, just turned on by the idea of puppetry, did you ever imagine that this would be your work, your witness, that this would be your muse, your life's work?
The funny thing is, I did. I saw it very young, and I'm grateful for having that level of purpose and vision then. I started in the church, and so I found my purpose there very young. As soon as I started, when I was 10, I knew it was something I never wanted to quit, and that I'll always do to teach kids and hopefully around the world. So I knew I would never quit, but I never imagined that it would be my career. And so I'm very grateful and blessed.
No, you are blessed. Since you mentioned your dad being a pastor, what was the church? Shout it out.
Yeah, Zion Global Ministries in Cincinnati, Ohio, Pastor Freddie and Marsha Piphus.
There you go. I love it. All right, I just had to do that. We got to shout out the church now.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your work and witness. I mean that with you sincerely, and I'm delighted in this conversation. Good to have you on. All the best to you, Megan.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.
Cinderella. All night before it's back to life. Cinderella. Cinderella, L-O-A. Cinderella, L-O-A. Cinderella, L-O-A.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A new poll shows Dallas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett leading the Democratic field for Texas's U.S. Senate race, even though she hasn't announced a run.
In a four-candidate race, Jasmine Crockett is ahead of both federal working James Tallarico by 6 points.
That's Mike Jones, who did the poll for the University of Houston. Crockett has gained attention for fiery Capitol Hill remarks. Maryland's Black Governor Wes Moore marked National Farmers Day by praising the state's agricultural workers. He also criticized Trump-era tariffs for raising costs and pledged to protect farmland and expand access to capital for farmers. And actress and comedian Monique is embracing wellness with her new fitness initiative, Monique's Movement. After struggling with basic tasks, she's now focused on health, strength, and consistency, offering free workout videos and inspiration for lasting change. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a good day Sunday for both of LA's NFL teams. The Chargers and Rams got a road win. Both teams are 4-2. The Chargers came from behind in the final minute to beat Miami 29-27. Cameron Dicker kicked a 33-yard field goal with 5 seconds left to win it. The Rams took advantage of a sluggish Baltimore offense without Lamar Jackson and coasted to a 17-3 win. The Rams defense shut out Baltimore after the first quarter. The Dodgers are in Milwaukee tonight for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. First pitch at 5 o'clock. USC is back in the top 25 college football rankings after their 31-13 win over Michigan on Saturday. The 5-1 Trojans are ranked 20th. Top 5 teams in this week's poll: Ohio State, Miami, Tavis, Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers, Texas A&M, and Mississippi. Indiana is number 3 in the country after their win at number 7 Oregon on Saturday. It's the highest ranking in the history of Indiana football. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, I am D.L. Hughley, host of the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, heard weekdays from 2 to 4 exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. I promise to make you think a little, but laugh a whole lot more. So tune in to the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show 2 to 4 only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jackson Jr., welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is Monday with Ernest Krim. Ernest, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hey, what's up, brother? It's good to be here with you.
Ernest is an Emmy-nominated producer, historian, teacher, and public activist. Ernest, I want to begin our show because of our special guest, Jonathan Jackson, with this clip right here. Play the clip.
Americans after slavery that ended up becoming governors and senators and congresspeople. And all of a sudden we look up in our history books and then there were none. How did it happen? It happened because they started disenfranchising our community piece by piece, by 1,000 cuts. You can go vote, but you can't take the stairs and the elevator's broken. This is what happened to Daddy King when he tried to go to the courthouse in Stockbridge, Georgia to vote. They started coming up with these games, and pretty soon, all of the black members of the Congress were gone. We oftentimes hear of Hiram Revels being in the Congress and the Senate and other things. But you don't know who the first African-American was to be elected into Congress. It's not the first African-American to be seated in the Congress. There was an African-American congressman in Louisiana who won but never got seated. They changed the rules. Now why are we going to Washington on this Wednesday? Because of the Supreme Court case, Louisiana versus Callis. It has everything to do with majority-minority districts. Let me say it another way. It has everything to do with maximum representation of minorities. It has everything to do with congressionally carving out districts that proportionally represent African Americans. When you hear the Supreme Court taking on this case of Louisiana versus Calais, they're signaling that the Voting Rights Act is in jeopardy. So when you ask what was the trigger for the state of Texas removing those African American seats and starting the redistricting process, those simply aren't lines on a map. That has to deal with our votes, which has to deal with our voice in the Congress. Now what they're going to do is rehear this case again, because after Congressman Cleo Fields won the first time, there was a gentleman in Louisiana named Ku Klux Klansman David Dukes. He challenged that seat. It went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. They rewrote. Had to leave the Congress. Now he came back to the Congress, to the 119th Congress, and he's my colleague. He got sworn in on January 3rd. He fought back, and every time we fight back, we win. By March, a case was filed by some disgruntled Caucasians again that says you are using race as a consideration in creating a congressional district. The Supreme Court has taken up this case. They're fighting it again, called Louisiana versus Calais. And because we know, just like in Plessy versus Ferguson, the Supreme Court does not make any narrow decisions. After that law was changed in Plessy versus Ferguson, they ended up creating the Black Code, and they created a black school and a white school, a black library and a white library. They created a black graveyard and a white graveyard. Come on. They created a black side of town and a white side of town. That was because of the laws of the Supreme Court in Plessy v. Ferguson. Now, here we are, 60 years later, after the writing of the Voting Rights Act, which had everything to do with maximum representation of all of the disenfranchised communities. So they started creating majority-minority districts. Now the question lies before the United States Supreme Court. Because race was
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In the first hour, our very guest after the break will be Jonathan Jackson, the distinguished gentleman of the 1st Congressional District of Illinois. And he gave a very powerful speech at the Rainbow Push Coalition this past weekend, sounding the alarm bell for the Voting Rights Act of 1965. In a real sense, after the Plessy versus Ferguson decision, the nation then entered Jim Crow, until the Brown versus the Board of Education decision overturned the Plessy versus Ferguson decision in 1896. And because Congress had not implemented by law the second part of the 15th Amendment, and the Congress, it reads, shall have the power to implement this article by appropriate legislation. Congress, after the 15th Amendment, never got around to the idea of a Voting Rights Act. Brown versus the Board of Education laid the foundation. The death of Emmett Till, Rosa Parks sitting down on that bus, Martin Luther King Jr. coming to her rescue, Jimmy Lee Jackson seeking to protect his mother, who was trying to save the life of James Orange that night in Marion, Alabama, ultimately led to the Selma to Montgomery campaign in Montgomery, Alabama. During that period, Viola Liuzzo lost her life shuttling African Americans back and forth between Selma and Montgomery. Some who walked the entire distance needed to get back to their place of origin. She was pulled over by police officers, called a nigger lover, and they blew her brains out at point blank range. Shortly thereafter, Reverend James Reeb, a Unitarian minister, a white minister, had been marching with African Americans and people of good conscience and goodwill for the right to vote. The summer was so hot that summer that by midsummer, Lyndon Johnson went right before the Congress of the United States, and he said that there are turning points in American history, in world history. So it was at Lexington, so it was at Concord, and last night it was in Selma, Alabama. When we come forward, Ernest Krim, of course, is our very special guest, but we will be welcoming the Congressman of the 1st Congressional District, the distinguished gentleman, Jonathan Luther Jackson. We will discuss his legacy of activism and why he is sounding the alarm bell from the Congress of the United States and the fight that is before us. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with the distinguished gentleman from Illinois, Congressman Jonathan Jackson.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader. If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Got your black. Follow the leader. Following the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-515-4493, 800-515-4493, 800-515-4493.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Download the podcast. You can also see us live on YouTube, but we're also live in Los Angeles, California. Congressman Jonathan Jackson represents Illinois' 1st Congressional District with a legacy rooted in activism and achievement. He is my brother, born to civil rights leaders, Reverend Jesse Jackson and Jacqueline Jackson. He inherited a profound commitment to justice and has translated that heritage into decades of impactful work for marginalized and underserved communities. Congressman Jackson is also, as I've stated already, brother of yours truly. Congressman Jackson serves on 2 House committees. As a member of the Agricultural Committee, he introduced the JUST Act to enhance civil rights accountability and enforcement in the Department of Agriculture. He also introduced amendments and spoken loudly about the importance of supplemental nutrition assistance programs. On the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, Congressman Jackson has led a bipartisan effort to sanction the Houthi rebels through the Sanction Sea Pirates Act. Jonathan Jackson, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Ernest, I think Jonathan might have a small technical difficulty and will be joining us shortly. I was very impressed with the congressman's speech this past weekend on the Voting Rights Act of 1965. There is an alarm that the congressman has raised and a profound concern. Even Barbara Arnwine on our program said that we could lose as many as 23 African Americans in the Congress of the United States out of the 62 that we presently have, if in fact in the Robinson versus Calais or Louisiana versus Calais decision, that decision strikes down the remaining section of the Voting Rights Act, Section 2. Ernest, your thought on Blacks losing political representation in the United States Congress and state legislatures around the country.
You know, this is such a pivotal time for us in American history. And I applaud you for even having this discussion, because this is not something that we have seen talked about or discussed enough, especially I would even say, you know, as your resident millennial up and down my feed, this has not been a topic of conversation, but this is something that impacts all of us, especially in our community. And when I see and come across stories like this, what comes to mind is the fact that within this system, what they'll often do is try to use and manipulate law and policy in such a manner to enforce the pre-existing caste system or conditions that they already sought to create. I shared a quote last week when we were talking from Dr. Amos Wilson about how these folks will oftentimes manipulate the law to uphold this so-called belief or system of white supremacy, and they will break their own laws to maintain that. And that is what I am seeing right now, right before our eyes. I feel like what we see is the contradiction of them attempting to undo and implement policy without historical context. When we are trying to make things right for us, they'll call it discrimination. But what we're actually trying to do is undo the impact of the discrimination that we felt from them. So they try to give us policy without the historical context. And my thought, as your brother was speaking, is that policy without the proper historical context can only serve the status quo in the establishment. So we have to continue to tell these stories about what could potentially happen. Then we also have to continue to give it the proper context so people know what they are truthfully attempting to do. And that's get rid of us politically, economically, and socially. This is violence on all three of those levels.
Thank you very much, Ernest. We welcome now the distinguished gentleman from the 1st Congressional District of Illinois, who gave an extraordinary speech this past weekend on the Voting Rights Act. He is not the only voice that is sounding the alarm. Obviously, Congressman Cleo Fields, whose district is in jeopardy. Congressman Emmanuel Cleaver has raised concerns. Jasmine Crockett and Congressman VC, 2 African Americans under the Abbott plan, have now been drawn into the same congressional district. Jonathan, I am so proud of you. Jonathan, tell us what's going on with the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and why we should be so concerned. This is our longest segment of about 12 minutes left. Please share with us your thoughts.
Well, thank you so much, Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., my brother. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for having me on here. What's at stake is not simply lines on a map. It's simply not redrawing a district. This is about representation, who will have a voice at the table. And what's happened now is with the idea of the Voting Rights Act. If you can imagine, from 1865 until 1965, there were all these machinations and rules and ways to obfuscate and circumvent and move around us having voting rights and protection. For example, Reverend Martin Luther King's father, when he was able to register, when he tried to register and vote, they told him he had to go, of course, on a Tuesday to go into the city. And when he got to the courthouse, they said, it's on the 2nd floor. but no Negroes can go up the stairs and the elevator is broke. Well, it was on the second floor. How do you get up there? There were all these games. You've heard it before. How many bubbles are in a bar of soap? Can you name every judge in a district and a county across the state of Mississippi? These were the poll taxes. All these other things were put in place. And so the genius and the brilliance of this Voting Rights Act of 1965, in some ways you can say, is the crown jewel achievement of Reverend Martin Luther King's work in making sure that this instrument could used as an antidote to go against discrimination and have the teeth necessary for enforcement of the 14th and 15th Amendment of equal protection under the law. It was also a racial remedy for past harm and discrimination to make sure there were guardrails that we could have inclusion into the voting process. Well, what does it look like when you don't have it? Then they can say, if you have a state, for example, like Mississippi, that has 40% plus African Americans, and out of 5 districts, only 1 African American. If you have a state like Louisiana that has better than 40%, they say 30 some, but it's clearly more than 40% African Americans in the state of Louisiana, where they have 6 districts that you only have 1. Well, when you use the Section 2 section, talking about majority minority districts, a Black districts that would reflect the amount of Black voices, Black population in that city, then you can have this as a tool. That's what's at the heart of the voting rights. In the last 60 years, from 1965 until today, the right wing has never been happy with this. They've consistently fought against it. Say it another way, I'm 50 years of age. The Voting Rights Act is now 60 years of age. I'm the first generation of African Americans born with equal rights. My daughter now has fewer rights than I've had my entire life. That's why what's on what's on the Supreme Court docket for this coming Wednesday, starting at 9 a.m. for the second part of the hearing. They took this case up in March of this year after Congressman Cleo Fields was sworn in. And by even considering that they may take more teeth out of the enforcement mechanism of being able to say you can have racial parity, racial justice, that triggered Texas to steal seats, and California and Kansas and Missouri, and back to Louisiana, Indiana, on to Ohio. They're going into North Carolina and then on into Florida. That started this whole process of redistricting, and is basically to take our votes away. We have 62 African Americans in the Democratic caucus now. And if this goes against us, if the plaintiff wins, you can see almost a third of the African American representation go away, meaning we'll have fewer voices. In the history of America, since 1789, since they've had the Congress, there have been roughly 12,560 members of the United States House of Representatives. Fewer than 148 have ever had the privilege, the right to vote, to introduce legislation, to be lawmakers. That's why this is so seminal. And if this case goes against us, they're basically saying racial remedies cannot be considered at all. So this will not be narrowly defined. This means minority businesses. This means minority health studies. This means all those things that have anything to do with Black participation, Black equality and equity will be dismantled. That's why I want everyone to be so alarmed at what this means.
Thank you for this sobering moment, Jonathan. Let me ask you, Congressman, let me ask you this question. I've often said that there's no such thing as a local congressman. It takes 218 votes to get anything passed or to get anything done. Mm-hmm. You do it with the Democratic caucus alone, or you do it in a bipartisan way. But there's also no such thing, and you keep hearing from some people who follow the Supreme Court, 5-4 decisions or 6-3 decisions. There's also no such thing as a narrow Supreme Court decision. They're all Supreme Court decisions impact every jurisdiction in the United States. We are live in Los Angeles. This case began in Texas, but now we're seeing it happen in Atlanta. There's talk about it happening in Illinois. You mentioned several of the states. Help our listeners understand that this Supreme Court decision could have a ripple effect and will have a ripple effect in all 50 states in the union, and not just in the Congress, but in state legislatures as well.
Okay, let's just go back to like history. You've heard the term Plessy versus Ferguson. We've heard about segregation, discrimination, all this other stuff of the past. That was ancient history. We've heard that African Americans used to be a part of the United States Senate and we were governors. And then all of a sudden, we don't know anything much more about that history. Well, if we revisit it, it started 1896 when there was a case in Louisiana called Plessy versus Ferguson. It was an African American, what they called an octoroon then, had 1/8 black blood. He was 7/8 white, having light skin, straight hair. This African American bought a first class ticket to ride on the train in the first class car. It was contested. He got kicked off that train. It went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. And they said, no, that black man did not have a right. It was a test case that African Americans had brought before the courts, and it made it all the way to the United States Supreme Court. Can he sit in a first class seat with a first class ticket that he bought because he's black? And they said no. And in turn, that was decided in the Plessy versus Ferguson case. And that's where the laws of discrimination, if you will, the redlining and the and all this other stuff on racial recidivism, I like to call it, on the retrogression that happened. And that's where you have separate blacks for bathrooms, a black bathroom, a white bathroom, a black graveyard, a white graveyard, a black school, a white school. All those laws came out of that court case. It was a court case about buying a first-class train ticket. And once it got interpreted through all the courts, it had segregation codified. And all of the blacks for a period of time had been removed from the state legislatures across the board. And there were no more black governors, no more black U.S. senators, no more black congressmen. That was the end of Reconstruction. And it happened from that case.
No black speakers of the House, no black majority leaders, no black minority leaders in any legislative body anywhere in the United States as a result of that decision. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. And if I could add one more thing to that. So when you think of Reverend Martin Luther King giving an I Have a Dream speech in 1963, just know from Virginia all the way around to Texas, over Tennessee, over Kentucky, Missouri, and other places, there was not one African American in any legislative body throughout the entire South. While he was giving that speech, he could not use the public restroom anywhere in the South because all blacks. So therefore, 2 years later, after the 64 Civil Rights Act and ultimately after the 65 Voting Rights Act, is when African Americans started getting congressional seats back in the South and expanding our bases in the North.
Jonathan, we have about a minute and a half before we come forward, and then we'll continue our conversation after the break. But I did want to add this point right here. We're live in Los Angeles. It is a reasonable assumption that African Americans who have districts in the state of California could very well, even under the Democratic plan to create more Democrats, could in fact lose representation like the Maxine Waterses of life, like the Carmelita Doges of life, because in fact, this decision being argued on Tuesday would force those states also to reconsider their plans. We have about a minute, Jonathan.
Well, the same thing happened just 2 years ago in 2023 in the Students for Fair Admissions. That case said that when it was wrongly decided, is that race-conscious policies cannot be used in higher education. They took Harvard, founded 1636, University of North Carolina, founded 1789. Those two public institutions, they said you can't have race-conscious decisions. And what have they done? They've weaponized it. Then the president gets on the stage and says he's against DEI. Now, African-American women have been kicked out in the droves from all these corporations. African-American scholarships have been taken away. Hispanic students' funding has been taken away. The studies at the National Institute of Health that study the mortality issues of African-Americans have been dismantled because they're race-conscious decisions. Blacks in the minority business in minority business enterprises, they've been eliminated because they struck this. This will be a deadly blow if we don't fight this and show up.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. This is Jesse Jackson Jr. on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My very special guest is my brother, distinguished gentleman from the 1st Congressional District of Illinois, the Honorable Jonathan Jackson. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The biggest names.
The best conversations.
You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Healthcare remains a key hurdle for Democrats as the shutdown drags on. Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says it's hurting millions.
My friends on the other side of the aisle, they seem to believe that healthcare is an extraneous issue. We don't believe it's an extraneous issue. It's a central issue. This is the wealthiest country in the history of the world.
The Trump administration has begun laying off thousands of federal workers, mostly from Treasury and Health and Human Services. The Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation is giving $50 million to Atlanta's HBCUs, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Morris Brown, and Spelman, to help nearly 10,000 students graduate amid federal funding cuts. And Pharrell Williams returned home to Virginia Beach to launch his new Virginia apparel line, celebrating his love for the state. Fans lined up at a pop-up shop to meet him and buy his Adidas Adistar jellyfish shoes priced at $300 and already sold out online. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the takeover?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a good day Sunday for both of LA's NFL teams. The Chargers and Rams got a road win. Both teams are 4-2. The Chargers came from behind in the final minute to beat Miami 29-27. Cameron Dicker kicked a 33-yard field goal with 5 seconds left to win it. The Rams took advantage of a sluggish Baltimore offense without Lamar Jackson and coasted to a 17-3 win. The Rams defense shut out Baltimore after the first quarter. The Dodgers are in Milwaukee tonight for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. First pitch at 5 o'clock. USC is back in the top 25 college football rankings after their 31-13 win over Michigan on Saturday. The 5-1 Trojans are ranked 20th. Top 5 teams in this week's poll: Ohio State, Miami, Tavis, Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers, Texas A&M, and Mississippi. Indiana is number 3 in the country after their win at number 7 Oregon on Saturday. It's the highest ranking in the history of Indiana football. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Whoa,
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in the National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump at his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of black votes. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50. The Election Rigging Response Act. Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee. Ad committee's top funders. HMP for Prop 50 and Fund for Policy Reform.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than the distinguished gentleman from Illinois, the Honorable Jonathan Jackson. On Mondays, Ernest Krim III is our weekly guest host of What's Love Got to Do With It? Community, Common Unity. Joins us in the first hour with Congressman Jackson. Ernest is an Emmy-nominated producer, public teacher, anti-racist educator, and hate crime victor who uses Black historical narratives to empower and educate through a culturally equitable lens. Ernest Quim, Jonathan Jackson, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks again for having me, brother.
Well, thank you. Hey, Ernest, I didn't know that was you. I'm very familiar with your work. Keep it up, young man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I couldn't see on this little screen.
Ernest, you have a question of the congressman.
Yes, first off, thank you for your service, Congressman Jackson. One question I would say is, how do we illuminate the fact that politically, many of the basis for law is in consideration of white folks being the standard, right? So when we attempt to enforce legislation that provides equity, it's viewed as if we are discriminating against them, right? When in fact, we are attempting to allow ourselves an equitable opportunity. How is there a way politically to illuminate that fact that they have been viewed as the standard and status quo? Because when they want to get rid of race conscious anything, it's so that they can continue to enrich what they are already doing.
This is the question that perplexes me. When we are seeking justice, and this administration and this court has taken a sharp U-turn. When you look at the 14th and 15th Amendment, fighting for equal protection, the anti-Ku Klux Klan Act, fighting for the right to vote, all white men passed that law. They knew they were wrong. When they created the 1890s historically Black colleges, all white men passed those laws. There were a few blacks in the Congress because they knew they were wrong. They had to deal with racial remedy. When they passed the 1965 Voting Rights Act, the majority of whites, because they knew they were wrong. And it's like, here's how we can live in a multicultural, pluralistic society. Here's how we can live in a composite nation and go forward. Now, after the Supreme Court came out with the Students for Fair Admission, they've turned the tides around 180 degrees. And they're saying by having a racial remedy, you're discriminating against whites. That's what Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is saying. He's saying that Ketanji Brown Jackson, Justice, and Joy Reid, and First Lady Michelle Obama, and Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee, he said in the spirit of Charlie Kirk, they took white people's slots at Harvard. These women were qualified and added to the cultural richness and diversity of the student body. And for Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, to say our unity is diversity, he says that's a sham and it's the stupidest thing he's ever heard. No, he's a sham, and he's the most obnoxious person I've ever seen on like a stage, so we're trying to, sometimes it baffles me. We're asking for simply for progress, to have guardrails from the minority population that's been discriminated against historically, and they've turned that narrative around. We're going to need you, Ernest, to help us illuminate that this travesty.
Jonathan, Congressman, let me ask you this question. We know that during First Reconstruction, 1865 to 1896, that there were challenges. 16 African Americans were elected to the Congress, 2 to the United States Senate. And then there was this intermittent period from 1896 until Brown versus the Board of Education called Jim Crow. It was a very, very violent period in American history, as there was no longer federal protection in the states, and the 50 states got to handle racial issues the way they wanted to. A lot of measures, a lot of propositions, a lot of discrimination, a lot of segregation, Y'all live on this side of town. We live on that side of town. And then, of course, with the Brown versus the Board of Education decision, the beginning of second Reconstruction, Dr. King enters that space, right, between from Rosa Parks to his untimely death. But he really defined the modern era. What I'm hearing from you today, from your perspective in the Congress of the United States, and I've talked to Peniel Joseph, a doctor who wrote a book on Third Reconstruction. I've talked to William Barber, who wrote a book on Third Reconstruction. But I keep sounding in my own little voice the way that I can. There is a Jim Crow that always follows the Reconstruction.